Hey everybody, Horst here again, bringing you another master level game. This is a PvZ between myself and a guy named Finale. This is on one of the newer maps called Typhon Peaks, I believe it is. A lot of people are not really fans of the newer maps. I think they're not too bad actually. I especially liked this one. It has a lot of offensive and defensive options you can use because there's so many paths open everywhere. You can block them off with buildings at some points. You can place cannons to watch other points. There's a lot of things you can do. It's a cool map. There's plenty of expansions. They're pretty much equally spaced around the map. Like, this expansion isn't too far away from this one, which isn't too far away from this one, which isn't too far away from this one. That means that you really have an easy way of taking additional expansions. Your base just kind of naturally spreads out. It's not like some maps where you have your 3 expansions like clustered in one corner and then way the hell across the map you have more expansions. This one you have a natural progression. Expand here, expand here, expand here, expand here. It makes sense. You can really take new expansions without having to overextend yourself at all. So I think it's great for Protoss and Terran, and not too bad for Zerg either, because they of course love to take plenty of additional expansions. It's an interesting map dynamic I haven't really seen too much, and I like the way it plays out. So you'll see in this game how it plays out. Probably should have closed that earlier so you didn't see how long the game was. I've actually recorded this before, but it had some kind of horrible static on it, so I had to scratch that, and now I'm re-recording it. Hooray. Of course, on this map, like most new maps, your expansion is not really like it's not really well defended. It's kind of open, so you can't really go for a 15 Nexus build. If you did, you'd put your Nexus here, and then you'd have to make a huge wall of cannons and shit across here, which is not practical. It's only really practical on maps where your natural is either well defended with a narrow choke point, or your natural is right in front of your ramp, so you can protect your ramp with cannons at your natural. Here, of course, you wouldn't be able to do that. You would need to, like I said, have a giant wall. So the only real practical builds on this map are like 2-gate or 3-gate expanding. I'm a big fan of the 3-gate expand, as is In Control, I know. He does it all the time on his stream. He'll do a 3-gate expand, PvZ. Minigun does it all the time, so if they're doing it, they're pros, they can't be wrong. I'll do it too. I'm not a pro, but damn it, I can learn from them. One interesting dynamic on this map as well is this hidden grassy area. You're always going to want to check that for photon cannons in PvP. You're going to always want to check it for Nidus worms. Just have a pylon back here at some point in the game. But it could be an interesting dynamic in the future. Enough about map balance. The Zerg is going for a standard build. He's going for speedlings, pulled drones off gas, going for a fast expand. I did scout the Zerg. When I scouted him, I saw him going for speed. I saw the pool shimmering. I saw no drones there, so I know he's going for speedling expand. I'm not too worried about him doing a roach bust or some kind of crazy crap like that. So my 3-gate will work fine. Eventually be able to put some pressure on him after a couple of minutes here. And there he just goes and pushes up the ramp. Nothing too out of the ordinary. He's backing off before I can force field and trap him there. Keep going in. And there's my pylon to watch for Nidus worms. Niduses are extremely deadly. If you don't see it coming, you will lose the game 99% of the time if one gets into your base, because they just annihilate all of your probes with mass speedlings, and it's brutal. Check the production tab. I have Stalkers coming, Warp Gates coming. I've started to like to get 1 or 2 Stalkers before I do my fast expand lately, because they're just useful for shooting down overlords. If he does it for a fast roach bust or something, the Stalker's additional DPS against armored over the Sentry is really helpful. So I do like getting a faster Stalker out. Some people get mostly Sentry. I like the Stalker. Oh well. And there I managed to miss my force field. It should have been on the middle of the ramp. I am clearly displeased with my performance here, but oh well, nothing much I can do about it. So we'll just keep moseying through. The Zerg is doing his good scouting. And at this point in the game, my warp gates go up, I'm going to expand at around 6:30. This is a little late, should be done a little sooner. But we'll start throwing down a building wall. It's been him lost in my anus, has invited me to a party. We will decline that and put it on busy. It's lost in your anus, but back to the game. So expand, put a wall here. We'll need buildings across the whole thing. After I expand, I like to get a forge and a gateway, so I'll have 4 gates and a forge. And I'll eventually get a robotics facility as well. But at this point in the game, in around 8 minutes, you can push out with a decent Sentry, Zealot, Stalker force, mostly Sentry, of course, because they're so cheap on minerals. I've been using all my minerals to expand, make probes, make gateways. I have a lot of extra gas, which I use for sentries. You cannot lose this push. If this push dies, it is the game for you. You lose instantly. The only purpose here is to see what the Zerg is doing. So if you look at my perspective, I poke in, I see roaches, only 4 of them, and there's 6 of them, so he's probably going for some kind of roach build. I feel fairly confident he's not getting mutalisks, and because I know he's getting roaches, I'll build a robotics facility. I'll build some cannons at my front. If he was going for mostly Zerglings, I would not build a robotics yet. I would build a Twilight Council so I could get faster blink in case of mutalisks. I would also build cannons around my mineral lines if he's going for mostly Zerglings to protect from Zergling run-bys, protect from muta harass. But because I know he's going roach, he's going to go for frontal attacks or drops, but usually frontal attacks. So I'll need cannons here and robotics. And there go the cannons. Boom. Of course, research weapons upgrades as well. And here he comes in with a nice sized attack. This will actually kill my army if I let it engage directly. So I force field, keep him from attacking me. I keep most of his roaches out of the range of my army. And here he does a good move. He burrows until force fields go away. Then he'll just pop back up and do some more damage. He'll hope to wear out my force fields. Fortunately, I got the robotics in time, so I'll be able to get an observer out quickly enough. Keep force fielding the roaches away, while my stalkers and sentries fire from longer range than the roaches can shoot at. And he burrows again. Observer is almost done though, so I'll be able to break through this relatively easily at this point. And there we go. And of course, after you get the observer out, you want to get an Immortal or 2. Immortals are great against roaches. He's probably going to go to Hydra Tech now. Most Zerg do. So I will have to build an Immortal. I'll have to eventually get Colossus, which I think I start sometime soon. Yeah. But there is the weapons almost done. After weapons, I'll get armor. After armor, I'll get a Twilight Council. I can do weapons level 2. The armor upgrade is actually quite helpful against the Zerg because the Zerglings do a lot of fast damage. If you can have more armor, you take obviously less of it. And we'll push out once we have an Immortal. This push actually right here is very deadly against roaches. I don't think he could kill this with any number of roaches. I have enough force field to just pretty much keep them away from me forever. He would need Zerglings and Hydralisks to stop this. We'll just trap a couple of them with force fields. Kill any spare overlords we can find. Just go through and just basically do whatever damage you possibly can while you're upgrading to Colossus. And kill more overlords. They're wandering slowly across the map, and they will be shot to death by stalkers. We'll poke into the Terran front. Again, this really doesn't. I don't really mean to kill him with this. I just want to kill creep tumors, keep him in his base. If he's expanding, make him think twice about it. He has an expansion down here, I see, but I really don't want to move down to attack this expansion just yet, because he might surround me with Zerglings and Speedlings. I don't really want to lose his army. Again, if you lose your army at this point in the game, it's over. You lose the game. My production facilities are not anywhere near the Zergs at this point because he has probably 3 hatcheries. I only have 4 gates in a robo, so I need to keep this army alive. But I will start my expansion now. Usually, I get 3 expansions up, or 3 bases up before I start really throwing down heavy production facilities. Until then, I usually stay on like 4 gates and a robo. Once I get this 3rd base, I'll throw down a bunch more gates, a couple more robos. And there goes Twilight Council, so I can get that +2. And Blink. Get Thermal Lance, Colossus, and of course he's starting his Spire at this time as well. He knows generally the timing at which Colossus come out, and he's preparing for it, which is good on his part. He is not Master League by accident. But I'm starting my armor upgrade right now. And here he attacks me. Thank God for force field. I just block half his army from engaging. I'm a bit wasteful on the force field here, but I tend to get overexcited on it. And I would rather use all my force field and survive a battle than use not enough of it and have my sentries all die. So we'll trap whatever we can with more force fields. Kill whatever we can with a Stalker Colossus combination. You can see in the units lost tab, it's extremely in my favor. Those force fields were very effective at splitting his army up there, so I could deal with it in pieces. I dealt with all the roaches, and I dealt with all the hydralisks, and they all got vaporized. Immortals did their job extremely well. And we'll push into his expansion through this choke point here. It'll be harder for him to surround me from the back. He'll have to come from this angle, probably. But I'm going to wait for a second Colossus, because he does have a lot of hydralisks, and if he has corruptors and hydralisks, that one Colossus would be the lynch point to my survival. I don't want to really risk my entire army on that one Colossus dying. So once I have 2, I'll be able to push in. Transfer probes over to my new base. Oh, real briefly, I don't know if all you guys know this, but the one trick when you're saturating a new base, you have all your probes selected, you click all of them onto the gas, hold shift, click 3 probes off, click onto the other gas, hold shift, click 3 probes off, click onto the gas. What that does is it sends 3 probes here, 3 probes here, all onto minerals. Very quick, very easy, really helps a lot. I saw that, I think, from Minigun or something, so I just kind of stole his tactic. Thanks, Minigun. I think it's called cloning. It's been around since Brood War. And right here, this is bad positioning by me. All the sentries should not be up front like this. I lose like all of them here. That's very bad. I'm not going to have a force field to hold back his army while I need to. What this means is he's going to break through, and he'll start doing some serious damage to my army, while my Colossus in the back try to whittle down his numbers. Fortunately, his army wasn't that big, but he does have a lot of corruptors out now, and I don't have enough Stalkers to protect my Colossus anymore. So I'm going to lose both these Colossus. I am going to kill his ground army, though, which is a good thing. Check production. I do have more gateways in production. I'm finally starting to move on to the higher production of 3 base, so I'll be able to cope with losing armies at this point. So I'll just pull back. Immortal's still safe with 17 kills. So I did manage to save some of my army. It's not too bad. I still have a Colossus out. He did lose his entire ground army, so it's not too bad. If we check income, I have been crushing him in the harvester count. That's definitely good. My income is incredibly good right now. I'll probably need to start taking a new base very soon, because I do have too many harvesters for just 2 mining bases. This base is almost dead, so I'll expand up here. Once this base is mined out here, I'll just transfer all my probes over to here. And move on to 3 robo, and I think I have a total of, 9 gateways. 3 robos and 9 gateways is a lot. You can spend a lot of money through them. It's probably all you're going to need most of the game. If you go on like 6 base, you might need more. But here we can see the Zerg is poking with a lot of corruptors into my base here. So he did scout I have this. He's probably going to attack it at some point. Part of the Zerg's goal is to deny Protoss expansions. Once the Protoss gets on like 4 or 5 bases, it's incredibly hard to stop them, because they just keep reinforcing their death armies with mass numbers of more Colossus coming in. I mean, he can kill all of my Colossus at any point now, and I'll still have the ability to make 3 at once. So as long as I have the economy to support this production, I can pretty much stand toe-to-toe with the Zerg no matter what he does. And there I'm transferring my probes from my natural to my new expansion. He's attacking in, trying to take out my corruptors from the side. It's important you want to focus fire the corruptors with your Stalkers whenever you can. And you always want to lure him back to choke points, like here. If I fought him here, this is at his advantage. If I fight him here, this is at my advantage. It's all about positioning. So he's going to have to go around. He's going to try to decide if he wants to engage this choke or this choke. And he does decide on this choke. So once he moves in there, just force field trap chunks of his army here. And of course, with your Stalkers, you want to focus fire the corruptors. It's important you have to manually do that, otherwise you will lose too much of your Colossus. And then in this situation right here, he'd still have all his corruptors. My Stalkers will be firing on his army. This is a bad concave for me, so I want to back up. I want to engage him at the choke point. I do not want to engage him when he has units along the ridge shooting at me as well. I want him to only have these guys shooting at me. So I just pull back so I can engage when I choose, where I choose. Keep up Immortal production as well. You only really need 2 or 3 Colossus to deal with the roaches. The Hydras, the Colossus deal with the Hydras. The roaches can be dealt with by Immortals as well. And if you only have 2 or 3 Colossus, you are much less vulnerable to mass corruptors. I mean, if you have like 7 Colossus, you're basically saying, please, Zerg, just make corruptors, that's all you need to do. And then you win. Here I'm forcing him to make a much more diverse army, because he has to deal with the Immortals as well. Now, I see I don't want to engage him here because that would be a huge concave for him. I want to engage him here. He, of course, doesn't take the bait. I believe he saw me transferring probes from a new expansion. He's going to go kill that. At this point, I should keep engaging here to force him to stay here. I shouldn't let him go here. But he does make it down to my expansion. And he attacks. I'll kill some of his reinforcements. But when he attacks my base here, one of the key things you need to remember is to move all your probes away from the battle. You want to save as many probes as possible. Obviously, this Nexus is going to die, but if I can save probes, it's not a complete loss. Check production tab. Not even lost production tab. There we go. And again, you just want to keep focus firing those corruptors. You'll lose a couple of Colossus, but if he loses all his corruptors, it's not that bad. You'll have to remake the corruptors while you're remaking the Colossus. Get a decent flank off here, kill some of my stuff from the back. I'm not really using any force fields here. I should be. This is a bad concave for me. He had a much better concave here. Not every battle can go my way, though. However, I still, with the Immortals in the ground, managed to clean up. That's the strength of the Immortals. Even if you lose the Colossus, you still have some power. The Stalkers themselves are pretty worthless when it comes to cost efficiency. The Immortals, however, are beasts. They cost exactly as much as 2 Stalkers, but they're much more durable and they're much more powerful. They do a lot more damage. And we'll just kill as many corruptors as possible. And then we'll fall back. And regroup with the rest of my army right here. Now, I don't have any Colossus in here, but I do have a lot of Immortals. So this is still a very powerful army, as you see right here. And I like to surround with the Blink Stalkers. What this does is it ensures that all the hits are going on my Stalkers. He's not targeting the Immortals at all. That way the Immortals survive. I can rebuild Stalkers very quickly with 9 Warp Gates. I cannot rebuild Immortals quickly at the same time as Colossus. So I need to save all the Immortals that I can. At this point, I'm just rebuilding my Colossus. I'm rebuilding my Stalkers, but I still have my core of Immortals, so I don't have to worry about them. And of course, after you lose an expansion, you just re-expand again. And around now, I will be thinking about taking another base, so I'll probably expand over to here. Again, I love this progression on this map. You just take an expansion here, take an expansion here, take an expansion here. It's all very natural feeling and very progressive feeling. I love it. Of course, it would be a good idea to break down these rocks and these rocks, so I have a link between my 2 bases. Although it could be abused by him as well. If he attacks here, then he has an easy way into my main natural if I choose to sacrifice this expansion, which I might. I mean, if he's attacking here, it might be a good idea just to sacrifice this base and move over to here. But again, we'll just attack the middle. His armies, I've noticed, are getting progressively smaller and smaller, while mine are not. What this means is he's probably not expanding as much as I am. He can't keep re-macroing as easily as I am. And with this much smaller army, with not nearly enough corruptors, I just mow right through it. With superior, equal upgrades as well. And of course, he says, "Nice maps, Blizz. Raffle, you're so bad." Which I have to say, I don't really think this map is Protoss' favorite at all. I think it's pretty balanced. It is definitely got some advantages for Zerg. It has some advantages for Protoss. I can see it being decent for Terran as well. I quite like this new map, and I hope you guys learned a thing or two about playing on it. Thanks for watching, guys.